Last Dance on ESPN, the 10-part documentary series on Michael Jordan. They're basically telling you that we're catching you up on the last year of Jordan's contract on the Bulls, which I think is pretty awesome because I don't really remember his last year other than, the shot. I don't remember like how it led up to it. I remember a lot of Bulls fans that I knew, like the one guy that McShay and I worked with at Einstein Bagels who smelled bad all the time, was a big Bulls fan. And I remember like in the beginning, before that last season started, I was like, you're a huge Bulls fan. And he's like, yeah, but I'm so sad. I know this is going to be the last year. How do you know that? I mean, they just won 2 in a row. Aren't you going to like keep all this together? It's crazy how Pippen, Rodman, Jordan, and Phil Jackson all stayed together under Jerry Krause. They made him like the villain, at least, of the first 2 episodes.
I want to make I don't want to be the first one to comment on this because I'll leave that to Chris. I just love that I'm pretty sure you forget every single day at least one password to something you have to get into, yet you remember Chris from Einstein Bagels' favorite basketball team. Absolutely blows my mind.
I have to send a password change email to myself at least once a week so I can change it back.
That's so funny.
And you get the notice that it says you cannot reuse the current password.
What? All right, it made me laugh a lot.
That's so good.
That's gold, Joe.
That is good.
I know why ESPN's releasing it the way they are, and given the time we're in. But God, did I want to just keep watching every single one after that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When I was halfway through the second one, it was leaning into no, I finished it, but I watched the first one, then I was like, ooh, the second one's available. And I'm halfway through it, and it's like 2 a.m. on Tuesday. I'm like,
I don't remember. Like, sports and the way we consume information now is just so different from back then. If what we had now was there back then, good Lord, what we'd have found out about that team. Jordan being Jordan is so burned into our brains from shoes and gear and the greatest of all time and champion. I forget all the other things that happened throughout his career and how big he actually was, because his career was at the tail end, sort of when we were super into sports. Despite you having Nikes, you don't call them Nikes. They're Jordans.
Right.
Never a thing before, like, it was a reminder how big he actually was. I just didn't really, really remember living through it.
Kev?
It's been fun to do that. I agree with you. And there's a lot already that I had forgotten. And maybe it's because we don't rewatch or don't have the information that we do now so readily available or what. But I found myself stopping, and not just that I had forgotten, maybe I didn't even know to begin with. I did not know anything or recall anything about the Pippen contract issues.
Nope.
Crazy scenario to me. And I didn't realize the magnitude that Jordan was during that era. Like, I know who Jordan is now. I know what a Jordan brand means now. I still think of him in that way as like the greatest. But I didn't realize during that era, he was already so far above anyone else in the league that when they went to, where did they go? Did they go to Asia or did they go to Europe or something? And he's like on all their talk shows and whatever. And it's not the team. Like, they didn't invite the Bulls to come to these talk shows. Jordan comes to the talk shows.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a scene with Patrick Ewing telling a story. And somebody made a clip on Twitter and they said, you're the GOAT when Ewing is telling a story about how good he was and how good the Knicks were, but he's wearing a Jordan sweater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so,
in the clip, he's like rocked back and he's wearing the Jordan logo on his shirt,
Wow.
And we were all, John was 11. Kev and I think, were 2 when Jordan got drafted. And to see...
I'm deleting that sorry out.
Good.
Stuff your stories in a sec.
It's an expression.
How good he got year over year in college. I know Jordan in college of the shot, and that was it.
Yeah, I just
And
knew that.
I think about now, and I'll debate and I'll take anyone's answers. I think they're both right. If Jordan's better than LeBron or Kobe, you tell me any one of them is the best of all time. Fair. He was so good, so quick. I don't remember a lot of that. And right now, with all the scrutiny, if the Lakers, if this year when they lost 3-4 games in a row, LeBron's done, Anthony Davis is not a good match, and they showed that stretch when Pippen was out, and they lost I think their first 4 or 5 road games.
Yeah, they were like 500 for the first 40
I
games.
kept thinking, if that was now, holy shit, would they have destroyed them?
Oh, yes.
What's wrong with them?
Wow.
Blow this thing up. This is awful. And it was just reported in the paper a few times that Sports Center was still in its infancy. But imagine now a team like that loses their first 5 road games. Forget it.
I kind of remember at the time, ESPN, Sports Center, the champions are off to their worst start. What's going on? And they would always go back to Phil Jackson. The post-game interviews with Phil, outside the locker room, he'd be like, well, Pippen's not here. Just give it a minute. He elected to have the surgery right at the beginning of the season because he hates the owner. It's crazy the pay cuts that those guys took. If you look at the full roster of that team that year, it was Jordan made $40 million, and then $2 million was split between 11 guys. It's crazy. A lot of guys made league minimum on that team.
They were in the cafeteria rationing the meals, and Jordan's there eating this filet and lobster, and then you have Kerr in the background. He's like, please sir, may I have some bread?
Please.
On Thanksgiving, Jordan's like, I'm going to eat the whole turkey and all the mashed potatoes. You guys can have the rest.
Stuffing. You can fight over stuffing.
This is my last comment. The other inside story I never knew, which would never fly today with all this, again, all the scrutiny, is Jordan just openly berating the GM.
Yeah.
He did it in the media. He did it during practice. He did it to the guy's face.
Yeah.
They didn't care. And I want to get to that in a bit, but Chris, I know you're chomping.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I chomped. All right, so let me preface all of my next 2 minutes and 12 seconds of, you're not going to find a bigger LeBron fan.
Break it down!